Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Thursday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. ES kind of hanging down near the lows of the previous session throughout much of the day, and in the final hour of the session, a big-time rally back up. And not only that, but a big continuation after hours on the release of earnings by NVDA. This has also led to a continuation up already prior to the RTH open. So we're already over an average range day here heading into the RTH open. 104% of ADR. If we drop this back down to 1 day, 104% of average range here. Out of the ES as we head into the RTH Open. 52.5 points. This thing's been averaging 52.5 on a 5-day, 50 plus on a 10-day range basis, or 10-day average range basis. And you can see right here, that's been about what we've gotten, 50 points here. And again, yesterday was a very low range day for much of the day. Late in the session here, a big pop that took us quite a bit higher. And we mentioned before, this market right now just remains in a very, very bullish trending framework, and any pullback could still be a buying opportunity until proven otherwise. This market's really going to have to prove it to go down, which it can do. It just hasn't wanted to do it this year or even over the last many months heading back into November. So very strong price action here. Now once you've already had 100+ % of ADR and the RTH Open hasn't even come on board, what's next? Do we stack it and see a 200% of ADR day, or do we mostly trade back into the range and stay within this box here? That's the box that's been developing throughout the month. Basically, the first trading day of the month is here. The rest of the month has been inside this box, 49.50 to about 50.80. We could see price continuing to trade in this range here with an upward bias at some point. Right now, the previous week's high is going to be very important. If price can push through there, perhaps we can open up a little bit more. But any rejection at the previous week's high could open up a return to VWAP, the current day's midpoint, and maybe even a bit lower as it trades within this range. So again, a lot of the day's range has already been seen here. Do we stack it? It all kind of depends on the previous week's high. If we take a look here at the NQ, this one's up 2% right now, 2% with a significant failed new low the previous session. We mentioned before that if it failed at the previous session's low, we could be looking at a move that takes us into the FOMC key level and the rising V. It got to that point, and then like the ES, a big time rally in the final hour of the day. And in the little after hours portion here, after NVIDIA released earnings, big time rally back up, a close through the previous session's midpoint, and now here heading into the RTH session up quite a bit, 95% of ADR, 250 points of range. That's pretty solid already. Do we continue higher toward the previous week's high price? That'll be about right here. So there is a little bit more meat on the bone to that level right there, but again, how's the market going to respond here after such range prior to the RTH Open? Do we backfill a bit? Does it stay mostly within the range already developed, or do we continue higher into the previous week's high? Previous week's high is going to be the big level right there to go test, and if it can push through that level, it starts to open up a bit more upside. Again, the upside uptrending framework here of this market remains firmly intact, and that means new highs up ahead. So from this pivot low here, we could be looking at 1 to 5, maybe 1 to 7 days of strength up ahead. Doesn't necessarily have to be gangbuster strength with a stack on top of each other, but something like this could certainly be in play, something like this here. So we could be looking at 1 to 7 days, 1 to 5 days of strength ahead. Taking a look here at crude oil. The previous session here, we did get our day up within the range. Again, we have a very clear 8-day trading range here. This is the 9th day now trading within that range. That 8-day, now 9-day compression has about 6 to 8 points of potential expansion built inside of it. 8 points on the high end, 6 points would be very easy. So this thing is definitely building some energy here. We have a 2-week narrow range that's very, very tiny and inside day right now. And we could be looking at quite the breakout ahead. Perhaps not this week, maybe into next week. An upside break could get us again 6 to 8 points of expansion. Right now it's up a day, down a day, which again shows kind of an up a day, down a day, up a day, down a day within the range here until proven otherwise. Today failed new high, got a high in the 78.40 level. We could be returning back toward the previous session's midpoint and perhaps retesting 77s here. So again, this could be a down a day within the trading range here, but still building energy for what could be a massive breakout up ahead. 6 to 8 points of expansion on the low end. And then we have, again, a 9th day developing, perhaps a 10th day tomorrow. Could be a narrow 10-day range that opens up quite a bit of expansion down the road. Taking a look here at gold. Gold right here up marginally, but continuing to trade around that 2040 level. Not really wanting to get around 2040 right now. It was a quick reversal back to the level, so 2000 back to 2040. But we've been sitting there for the last 3 sessions here, kind of just chopping wood at that zone. Right at the center of the range, 2080 up here, 2000 down here, 2040 right here. There could be the potential to trade back into the range here and then open up a 2080 up ahead. But right now, just kind of watching how this develops here at 2040 as the narrow 3-day range remains firmly intact. A little bit of an expanding range, so you see higher highs up here. That means we could drop down a little bit. Maybe 2030 could be in play from a very short-term perspective and then bounce it back up. Still inside the range with an upward bias. Lastly, taking a look here at the YM. The YM saw a little bit of strength yesterday, not quite as much as the ES or the NQ overnight. This market up about 77% of average range, 269 points right now. The previous session got a great finish, great late day finish. And then prior to the RTH Open here, again, a nice continuation to the upside and coming right into the previous week's high price very soon. 39.012 is that level of the previous week's high. We could be looking at a continuation toward that level up ahead. Overall, this market remains within a very long-term box here that has developed. It's been chopping around the 18,606 FOMC key level. Still has an upward bias, but really hasn't wanted to break out of this range. Not quite as bullish as, say, the NQ or the ES with its trending structure, but it is building quite a bit of energy here. That level right there, 39K, you got 38K on this side. It's been a very tight 1,000 point range. At some point, the expectation would be for a continuation toward 40,000 and perhaps trade in this 1,000 point box. Down here, it was 37K up to 38K. Trade in this little box. Now we're here. Do we see an expansion at some point? 40K would be the next level up if we can get a breakout here. Again, this could open up 1 to 5 days, maybe 1 to 7 days of strength that takes us toward 40,000. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops here heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.